Moving ahead for the sixth session of this conference under the theme of typography and context. To chair this session, I cordially invite Professor Antoine Abadi, Academia Libanaise de Beaux-Arts, Lebanon. Also, I cordially call upon the following speakers to the head table. Mr. Omiros Panayides, Cyprus, University of Technology, Cyprus. Ms. Shumon Bandari from New Delhi, India. And Ms. Layanvi Mirando, independent graphic designer, Sri Lanka.
Hello, good morning to all. My name is Omiros. I'm from Cyprus. I'm a graphic designer and a lecturer at the Cyprus University of Technology. It was a great speech before from the presenter. And I'm not going to talk also about mostly on typography, but mostly on diversity, on the book arts and on the printed page. So I'm going to present a personal project I started, the case of OWK Zine, titled Reflecting Culture Diversity through the Printed Page. The current case study will aim to better understand the importance of zines and independent publishing. We'll examine the cultural diversity of Cyprus art and design scene through the type and image of OWK Zine, and we'll focus also on the contributions that have been submitted to the zine so far, numbering 5 issues. So to start the presentation, a bit of Cyprus. Back in 2013, the political unstable culture and the economic and social crisis that hit Cyprus and the Mediterranean in general, also in Greece and Spain, have driven all the local art and design scene to search for a new and non-traditional publishing form to communicate out their ideas. And by self-publishing and independent publishing, that opposed to high-end luxury books and magazines, zines and self-publishing allowed small publishers to cater to enthusiasts by dropping all the extravagant printing features that were once considered a necessity to the people and moving towards a more content-oriented and honest experience. And zines, so what are zines? So the term zines or zines refers mainly to independent smaller publications that are commonly reproduced by a photocopy machine or any other inexpensive form of printing. And zines can be distributed face-to-face, pick up from local cafes or bought at local independent bookshops. Zines, we can trace them back to the 1930s in America, in the science fiction boom in the US, where the fans needed a way of interacting with each other and trading their own stories. And so the term fanzine appeared from fan plus magazine together, and later on we dropped also the fan to have the term zine. And they gained popularity later on in the 70s with the DIY revolution and peaked with the Riot Girl movement, a feminist movement that emerged in the 90s and used mainly zines to communicate their ideas. So whether in the form of a single voice, personal diaries, comics, anthologies, writers' words, zine content is a pure form of expression of the subculture, and as Dan Combe argues, zines are independent and localized, coming out of cities, suburbs, and small towns, and are matched by any commercial mainstream publication in their freedom of expression. So, OWK Zine, OWK is an abbreviation of Iorei Kibrei, that translates to the beautiful Cypriots in an ironic tone. And it's an independent visual library for words and image in the form of a 16-page zine, so it's a very small publication. Each issue is showcasing projects from the art and design world in Cyprus, including literature and poetry, free to any political or any ideological view, so there are no themes attached to the issue. OWK artistic and visual style is formed by its own contributors themselves. There is a structure for publishing and archiving projects that have a direct or indirect link with Cyprus. Have 40 contributors up until now, and each participant could submit a past or current piece of work they'd like, having only in mind the printing aesthetic of the Riso machine that was used for printing the issues. The Riso machine, very quickly, burns, it's like a photocopy machine, but burns single color images into paper stencil that is wrapped around the cylinder drum that you see on top, which then transfer the color onto the paper. And you need to change the drum each time for a separate color. So in a way, it's like a digital silkscreen, someone can say. So I'm going to show now some examples of sample of work that has been published in OWK Zine. Not mainly using typography, you can with collage or from industrial designs because there were no themes attached to the issues. So firstly, artist Ramian and Tumazu sent me a collage of this Zaha dinosaur park that used phone application to do it. And this piece, if you look closely, it's a social-political statement criticizing the government decision in Cyprus to build a modern, multi-million public square designed by the late Zaha Hadid in the center of Nicosia, bridging the ancient Venetian moat. And you can see up now the construction site that they're building the new square in Cyprus. Fanos Kyriakou submitted a fake vacancy to the Zine for a position of a museum guard with very high criteria and standards, emphasizing, again, in an ironic tone, the people's perception on the efficiency and productivity of the public sector, again, in Cyprus. Telephotographs took two cacti with written typography on top, the truth seemed to Myland and the riot to Kobe. Again, we can see that she's using the Cypriot cactus fruit as a black canvas, and because we can find this cactus all over Cyprus, she's using it to explore the everyday objects and their connection to the world. And illustrators submitted her daily poetry, written using with just a black marker without any concern of kerning, tracking, or anything, so she can deliver a more radical or raw feeling to her work. Selex, a designer and typographer, proposed this experimental typeface as an homage to the ancient Cypriot syllabary that was used in Cyprus from as early as 1500 BC. And Xinaris is asking if the island culture heritage can shape the ground for a development of distinctive typeface design. You can see also the inscription that from ancient inscription, this Cypriot syllabic script. Poet Labragis that used handwritten letter forms on top of people portraits to stress the complexity of semiotics and words. And Nikos Stefan on the right uses this 8-bit arcade feel and typography to visualize potential upgrades of human technology. Another one interesting project that was submitted is the written notes Mira found from her mother. It's a personal record of their diary of their private posted communication system that they built up. And we can see here an example of the Mediterranean country's collectivist culture. And according to George Adol, Cypriot families tend to extend their family structure into a larger kinship network and try to keep links with each other. Michalis, that explores the relationship and the attachment of the body to object and people into space, tries to portray the difficulty the Cypriot LGBT community face, expressing the sexuality or their identity into the public. Standing this illustration on the right of marble patterns. It's a pattern that was found in Cypriot children marbles, you can see on the left, Pyrrhia, that were popular in the 80s, so it's a more melancholic and nostalgic message. And lastly, for the examples, an industrial designer, Meral Gerou, submitted this chair on the chair on the right for the Church of Cyprus. And it's a piece that is suggesting an aesthetic upgrade or change to the unchangeable environment of the Church of Cyprus. You can see how the church are in the current state on the left, and she's trying to also to expose the modesty that was exemplified in the craftsman, in the local craftsman in Cyprus. So looking closely at all the examples above, we can find links to the island millennia-old art history and cultural heritage, and to status quo, and identify the past, current, and future voices of the local art and design scene. On the left, an illustrator submitted pottery because she tried to learn the craft of pottery so that she can use the surface of the pottery for her illustrations. So the 2013 economic crisis sparked a period of enlightenment for the art and design scene in Cyprus. It motivated locals to look back and at our own culture and heritage and express it in new, exciting ways. More than half of the contributors decided to present work that derives at least part of inspiration from the local culture of Cyprus. And there was an attempt by the contributors to speak to their own communities that are rarely represented by the big, shiny mainstream media, because when it's more free to express your words through the zine and the self-publishing world. Throughout, also the contributors learned the advantage and the possibilities of the Riso printing technique. And the influence the designs and the preservation of the cultural heritage can be outlined briefly in those examples shown in the current case study. In a series of briefing papers, Maria Rosario argues that one sign of a healthy community, it is simultaneous ability to preserve and invent its culture, that is, to conserve its history and heritage while developing new expressions for current times. She also underscores the importance of diversity, which is often considered the hallmark of an innovative, creative city. For Cyprus, alternative print-based zines like OWK operate on the fault lines of heritage and innovation, providing an unbiased venue for a diverse group of artists and designers to renegotiate Cyprus' identity on their own terms and have an impact on Cyprus' cultural, diverse, and intellectual, stimulating art and design scene. And so this is an exploratory case study. So more issues are about to come out, more diverse issues, and more freely the contributors can speak out themselves. And so the findings are meant to be used to further investigate the importance of the independent print culture in Cyprus and how it can socially impact the island. So a very special thanks to all contributors of the OWK Zine study.
Thank you.